Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for January 3, 2024. And in the news this evening, Trelawney woman charged with husband's murder. The Trelawney police say Sylvia Montague Brown, the woman who is a suspect in the murder of her husband, has been charged. Commander of the Trelawney Police Division, Deputy Superintendent Winston Milton, told the news that Mrs. Montague Brown surrendered to the police on Tuesday. She was then questioned and charged with murder. DSP Milton did not disclose her court date. It is reported that on Friday about 8 p.m., Mrs. Montague Brown, who had a tumultuous relationship with her husband, visited the Wakefield police station and reported a threat against her by her spouse. The police visited the home, spoke with the couple, and warned them to keep the peace. Mrs. Montague Brown reportedly spent the night at the home of a relative, but it is alleged that about 5:30 Saturday morning, Mrs. Montague Brown and her brother stormed into Mr. Brown's house and confronted him about his behavior. This led to an altercation. During the brawl involving the three, Mr. Brown was allegedly hit repeatedly with a concrete block. Investigators reported that the badly injured man who collapsed was then placed on a sheet of zinc by his wife and her brother and taken into bushes about 200 meters away from the house. Citizens who overheard the altercation summoned the police, and on their arrival, the body was found. Mrs. Montague Brown's 60-year-old brother was later arrested by the police as a suspect in the killing. Teen reportedly found hanging from tree in St. Mary. 19-year-old bartender Tamika Nikki Atherton was reportedly found hanging from a tree near her house on Tuesday, January 2. The police have ruled her death a suicide. This was her second attempt. She had tried before. She was seen hanging from a tree and was cut down. She did it again today. Head of the St. Mary Police Division, Superintendent Bobette Morgan Simpson, told the news. According to police reports, Atherton was at home on Sports Road in Islington when she told her mother and the stepfather that she was going outside to do laundry. Her stepfather went in search of her when she failed to return after a few hours. He reportedly discovered her body hanging by a hose from a tree. The police were called and Atherton's body was removed. Ongoing speculation suggests that she was facing financial challenges and relationship problems. The Islington police are investigating. 6 females in custody after attack on 14-year-old. 6 females aged 15 to 52 are currently in police custody, awaiting charges for their involvement in a mob attack on a 14-year-old girl in Clarendon on Saturday. The genesis of the incident is reportedly linked to a love triangle, although the victim herself was not directly part of the romantic dispute. According to Superintendent of Police in charge of the Clarendon Division, the necessary investigations are underway so that those involved can be charged. They are in custody and the necessary due diligence is being carried, Russell said. He also decried the actions of those involved in the mobbing. The genesis of this incident would have been from a love triangle, and although the 14-year-old herself was not a part of this love triangle, she has a family member who is involved, and as such, she was targeted. Actions like these are despicable, and it can't be that grown persons who are supposed to be setting examples for the younger ones are the persons that are involved in beating a child, Russell told the news. He is also encouraging parents and adults to protect their children. She received serious head injuries but was released from hospital. However, we are awaiting the medical report to determine the seriousness of the charges. PNP mourns sudden death of Councelor Candidate Maxine Soloby. The People's National Party is in mourning following the sudden death of Maxine Soloby, the Councelor Candidate for the Friendship Division in Western Westmoreland. The incident reportedly occurred on Wednesday during a meeting at Hotel Comingle in Savannah Lamar, where Soloby, while delivering a brief speech, requested to be excused due to not feeling well. Shortly after leaving, she reportedly collapsed and was swiftly transported to the hospital, where she later died. The PNP expressed their profound sadness and shock on social media, releasing a statement that read, "The People's National Party is deeply saddened and shocked to announce the passing of Comrade Maxine Soloby, our Councelor Candidate for the Friendship Division, Western Westmoreland. Salaby's death comes just months after she assumed the position, replacing Tyrone Guthrie, the previous PNP councillor caretaker, who is facing charges related to the forcible abduction and the rape of a 16-year-old. Taximan dies following family dispute in Manchester. A taxi operator died on Wednesday from injuries sustained after being beaten in the head during a domestic dispute in Cocoa Manchester on Tuesday. Relatives named the deceased man as Gary Taylor, 51, a resident of Three Chains district near Mandeville in the parish. A police report said about 5:05 p.m. on Tuesday, Taylor got into an argument with a relative at a family home in Cocoa when he was hit in the head and upper body. He was taken to hospital where he died while undergoing treatment early Wednesday morning. A police source said the relative turned himself in following the incident. Taximan dies following family dispute in Manchester. A taxi operator died on Wednesday from injuries sustained after being beaten in the head during a domestic dispute in Cocoa Manchester on Tuesday. Relatives named the deceased man as Gary Taylor, 51, a resident of Three Chains district near Mandeville in the parish. A police report said about 5:05 p.m. on Tuesday, Taylor got into an argument with a relative at a family home in Cocoa when he was hit in the head and upper body. He was taken to hospital where he died while undergoing treatment early Wednesday morning. A police source said the relative turned himself in following the incident.
As part of our continued action against gangs and guns, and this is a part of that operation. Some of the gangsters that are operating in our space, and as you know, in recent times we have been having some incidents that have been spreading to other parishes in Area 3, and we have also seen where there was also some threats that have gone out. Threats against police officers and other civilians, and as such we would have targeted some of those criminals that we believe are involved. Has a history of violence. However, for 2023 we would have seen that the work that we would have put in targeting the gangsters would have paid off. We did not have any murders in the community of for last year. And but we know that the guns are still here, and we want to find the guns, and we will continue to do those targeted operations to get the guns that are here.
Tourist attempts suicide at a Lover's Leap. The St. Elizabeth police on Tuesday rescued a tourist who attempted to commit suicide at a Lover's Leap. The man, who is of African origin, has been identified as Victor Malaw. Rescue attempts lasted for approximately 5 hours from 4 to 9:20 p.m. The police say they were notified that a man was on the edge of the cliff contemplating suicide. 6 officers were subsequently dispatched to the area, and requests made for assistance from the fire department, mental health personnel, and counselors. If you or someone you know is struggling with their mental wellness, contact the Mental Health and the Suicide Prevention Helpline at 888-NEW-LIFE or 888-639-5433. JLP councillor seeks injunction to block a party from removing him as a candidate. A legal battle is brewing between the leadership of the ruling Jamaica Labour Party and one of its councillors who is fighting to remain in his seat. Lawyers for Stephen Williams, councillor of the St. Margaret's Bay Division in Portland, on Wednesday filed an application before the Supreme Court seeking an injunction to block the party from removing him as its candidate in the upcoming local government elections. Lead attorney Hugh Wildman told the news that Mr. Williams was informed by letter last month that the party has decided to conduct a selection exercise with the other contenders for the seat. The selection exercise is scheduled for Thursday. Mr. Wildman contends that Mr. Williams is an incumbent, therefore there is no vacancy. He said the decision to hold a selection exercise is a clear breach of the party's constitution, as the incumbent has already been confirmed in the seat to run on the party's ticket.